When a new console drops, it can sometimes feel like an eternity for it to build up a decent games library, especially when your house is full of massive hourglasses like mine. That's just not true with the Xbox One X. Thanks to the Xbox One X enhanced games designed to make use of the extra horsepower, you can start playing games in 4K right now. There are over 160 enhanced games announced, with more added to the console every day. In the lead up to launch, Benny and I have played every Xbox One X enhanced game available to pick out the best to showcase the console. Best of all, many of these could already be in your collection, so you're sitting on an impressive 4K library already. And if you aren't, then stick around to the end of the video where you can find out how to win a pile of Xbox One X enhanced games. Yes, all these could be yours. But for now, here are our top games. Punch YouTube up to 4K and let's get going.
The Master Chief famously told Cortana to wake me when you need me. And what better time to defrost our favourite action hero than with new hardware to show off. The latest Halo game was already an absolute beauty in single player, co-op and multiplayer. On Xbox One X you get to see these crazy science fiction worlds in stunning 4K, revealing a level of detail we could never appreciate before. You can see the battle damage on Master Chief's helmet, appreciate richer environmental textures across otherworldly locations, and take intimate screenshots of the smoother edges on Promethean armor. You know, if you want to. And it does all of this and maintains that slick 60 frames per second that makes it feel like a real luxury. It's especially great to dive into the chaos of Warzone and see those giant battles playing out. And while we're talking Halo, I also want to give a shout out for Halo Wars 2, which is also boosted to 4K and also boasts some gorgeous use of high dynamic range lighting to make all those laser projectiles pop on screen. So whether you're a fan of boots on the ground Halo or watching it all unfold on the battleground at a safe distance below you, Xbox One X has you covered.
When the Xbox One X was finally revealed at E3, one question popped into my head. How good will Prince Noctis's hair look on the new console? I am happy to announce that it looks stunning. Good enough to knock off Prompto as the best boy? Maybe not, but definitely good enough to get me plowing another 50 hours into this big, balmy adventure. This is one of many Xbox One X games to offer multiple visual modes to tailor the experience to your tastes. So far, you've been watching High Mode, which favours resolution. It's not native 4K, but is still transformative for this particular game, which throws around lots of tiny particle effects and has those vast open plains to drink in. Just being able to see that sharper vegetation in the distance gives this a much better sense of place, and when fights kick off with all their sparks and magical dodging, it really does look spectacular. If you'd rather your acrobatic heroes moved a little more gracefully, the light mode gives you a higher frame rate at the cost of resolution. It certainly limbers up those combat moves as you duck and weave around attackers. Finally, there's steady mode, which is a balance of the two, offering rock solid performance without boosting too much in either direction. For my money, it's high mode that's the real showcase. This is a stupidly pretty world, and Xbox One X shows you it in all its glory.
As you'd imagine from Xbox One X's 4K showcase, Gears of War 4 is a great flagship for what the console can do. That's clear from the very moment you get in the game and see a real-time rendering of JD Phoenix's face staring out at you as if to say, yes, here are my paws, and aren't they great? Yes they are, JD, yes they are. Firing up a level, you can immediately notice the difference. The high dynamic range expands the color palette, making the whites whiter and the darks darker, adding a sense of depth and really pulling you into the scene. Of course, if you prefer a performance boost over a resolution bump, you can enable performance mode and run Gears of War at 60 FPS at 1080p. It means that even on a 1080p screen, this is a stunning looking game. But with all the 4K bells and whistles enabled, this is something else. Your eye is constantly catching details, like walls covered in rustling ivy leaves or the rain droplets running down JD's armor. Just try not to get distracted from the thing you're meant to be killing. Oh, and there's Dolby Atmos support, which offers spatial surround sound that lets you locate enemies around your living room from the pitter-patter of their horrible feet. Honestly, when that kestrel flies above you, you'll want to duck. In short, this is the total Xbox One X package.
In the lead up to release, Ubisoft called the Xbox One X version of its game the most beautiful version. After playing it on Xbox One X, I have to agree, the enhanced update brings a lot of improvements to the Egypt sandbox. Obviously, there's 4K support, and because Origins was originally made in 4K natively, it looks truly at home. Everything is impressively sharp and vibrant, from Bayek's cloth hood to his pin-sharp shadow. There's also added high dynamic range lighting, sunsets look spectacular, skies seem more realistic, and fire effects are more vibrant. Thanks to the increased memory of Xbox One X, the game's performance and stability is vastly improved, and the world now loads in a lot faster too. The draw distance of elements like grass, plants, pebbles, and flowers double, so you can see twice as far without any graphical hitches. Origins maintains higher quality architecture and vegetation at longer range, even in dense environments like the grand cities of Alexandria and Memphis. The transitions between game and cinematic are faster now too, as is switching between Bayek and his Eagle Senu. And finally, there's Dolby Atmos support. You'll be able to hear with greater fidelity, swords being unsheathed behind you and flocks of birds flying overhead. Unbelievable! I'm sorry, a game this good deserves better jokes than that. I'm really very sorry.
I can't believe just how good the latest Call of Duty looks on Xbox One X. In the first mission alone, where you have to storm up the beaches at D-Day, my commander got in my face and yelled at me, but I didn't even mind because I was marveling at the incredible wrinkle tech and eye-bag rendering. Those are some excellent crow's feet, and that's a good job too, as loads of people shout at you in this game. It's just what they do. Now, it's also amazing on your standard Xbox One, but download the 4K HDR update and COD shines. At first, I thought the opening bit where you're riding in a landing craft as planes dart overhead and machine guns kick up sea spray was a cutscene, but lo and behold, it's all in engine. You can move your head around and everything. It's insane. There are points in which COD is almost photorealistic. You're going to want to hammer your screenshot button for this one, but make sure you share those grabs of everyone because, you simply can't have too many pics of Josh Dummel.
Quantum Break is another title you can play right now to see what the Xbox One X can do and how it can change your favourite games for the better. As you'd expect, it looks schlomping, which is a new adjective I've made up to describe just how impressive it looks. This TV show structured actioner from the makers of Alan Wake has a new lease of life on the Xbox One X. The scanned-in faces of actors such as Sean Ashmore and Aidan Gillen are super convincing, and the special effects when you use time-stopping abilities leap off the screen. It might come as a surprise, but Quantum Break isn't running at a native 4K, but uses a special technique called temporal reconstruction to give the look of a high pixel count. Combined with a naturally grainy look designed to capture the look of film, and this is a huge leap over what we played on Xbox One. It's particularly fun reading all the Easter eggs that could look a little blurry before, like the details on Aidan Gillen's t-shirt. Throw in beautiful volumetric lighting, global illumination, and lovely post-processing effects, and there are loads of reasons to give this a second playthrough. Hey, it's a good opportunity to make different decisions during the branching story choices. All in all, lubellous stuff. That's another word I just made up.
Shadow of War and Xbox One X have been closely tied from the beginning. In the game's own terms, Shadow of War is Talion and the Xbox One X is the ring of power that lets him conquer the world. I think that makes Phil Spencer Celebrimbor, but that's probably making the metaphor too confusing. Like some others on this list, there's a choice of two modes here. Choose to favor resolution, and yep, the game gives you a native 4K, sharpening all those tiny details that bring out the character and the orcs, and showing off the improved textures. Yes, the world of Shadow of Mordor is mostly dirt and gravel, but this is the best looking dirt and gravel that you've ever seen. The second mode is called Favor Quality. It softens the resolution, but it's still sharper than any other console version. Mind you, it punches up the level of detail. The draw distance is better, the textures are more complex, and the shadows are more detailed. It lacks the raw clarity of the other mode, but maybe makes for a more textured image. It's cool that developers Monolith gave us options when it came to how ugly we want our orcs, and the answer is very ugly indeed.
From the makers of Burnout comes this focused car crasher, all about driving very fast into busy junctions and trying to cause the most damage possible. That damage looks extra expensive in 4K. Oof, that's going to take a while to buff out. What's good about Danger Zone is that it's one of those Xbox One X games with alternative graphical settings. You can pick either glorious 2160p, native 4K, where you can see every spark from scorched metal and every dent in the crumpled mess of your poor motor. Or you can enable performance mode, where the resolution drops to 1080p, but the frame rate doubles, resulting in a much more fluid picture. I bet not even 100 cars piling into each other could make that game chug. I'll often flick between 4K mode and performance mode just to keep my eyes on their toes. Gotta switch it up. Can't let the eyes get too comfortable.
4K player faces have to be seen to be believed. Even Xbox One's resident football ignorer, Matt, had to give Sergio Ramos' marvellously detailed mug props when he first clamped eyes on it. And when he saw Ronaldo, he actually burst into tears. I'm not even joking. I've been a fool, he cried. I've been a footy-hating fool. From skin blemishes to freckles to that glint you get from waxed hair, the players in FIFA 18 have been covered in a layer of detailed 4K dust, and you can see that for yourself when you score by celebrating into the camera. From the default camera angle, the turf looks extra vibrant, the advertising boardings pop, and each player's silhouette is much more distinct thanks to superior anti-aliasing. Even the managers look better. Here's Mourinho looking disgruntled as ever. Don't be sad, Mo. You look gorgeous.
It's not just Xbox One games that are getting 4K updates. Microsoft's invited high-profile 360 games to the party too, like Fallout 3, Halo 3, Gears of War 3, and The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And it's the best party in town. Unlike most parties where you come in looking all done up and leave all disheveled and being pushed by your mate in a wheelbarrow, the games actually look better post-party. For these select games, Xbox's back-compat magicians have tinkered with the code, forcing the games to run at 4K, using the best textures available. Take a trip to Megaton, for example, and you can read signs from the other side of town that would have appeared as smudges back on the original 360. It makes us feel extra terrible when we push the button and blow those gorgeous textures to smithereens. It's crazy that a 10-year-old game still has something new to show us. And it's not just these revamped classics that benefit from Xbox One X. Stick in any backwards compatible game and you're going to see faster load times and the smoothest frame rates yet. Pop in Bayonetta, famed for visual chaos at 60 frames a second, and you'll get the smoothest console version yet. So put aside some time to test out those old favourites. They may look newer than you remember.
Xbox One X gives F1 2017 the checkered flag into the wonderful world of 4K resolution. I'm fond of the cockpit view because not only does it give me a nice view of the shimmering tarmac, but an extra close look at all my vehicle's instruments. And if that makes me sound nerdy, well then I've absolutely no comeback. F1 2017 looks best in the wet. When the rain coats the road and cascades down your visor is when the game becomes the most atmospheric. With stunning 2160p racing, it's good there's a fully featured photo and replay mode to show it all off. You can hold the triggers to speed up, slow down, and reverse time, back before a time you crashed in front of the world. It was a better time. Do you like valves? Check out this valve. Now that's a tire pressure nut. It's just really good. Hey, if Lydia was allowed to do that Bayek joke, I'm allowed to pass on that one, right? It's a really bad pun, but let me off.
Hitman is so insanely detailed at native 4K that you could probably scan in Agent 47's neck barcode and see how much he's worth. Developers I.O. have really pushed the boat out on this one, and I don't just mean the bit where you actually push a boat out onto someone. No, this offers every enhancement under the sun. There's colour boosting HDR, perfect for drawing out those blood reds and the sharp black of Agent 47's suit. Then there are enhanced textures with increased resolution and filtering and more convincing shadow work. There are two graphics settings to pick from and both are game changing. There's the high detailed mode which offers native 4K resolution, and there's the high frame rate mode which offers 60 frames per second gameplay at a 1080p resolution. The latter means any TV can benefit from Xbox One X, but it's the former that lets you see that bald head in all its 4K smoothness. For an example of how good this game looks, just take a look at the game's opening mission, the Showstopper. Developer I.O. has captured Paris at the magic hour. The skybox is rich and vibrant, inching towards the precipice of night, and the catwalk itself is a spectacle. For some reason, it's putting me in a weird killing mood.
Now it's time for some demon killing. What's interesting about Diablo 3 is that it's one of the older games to be getting enhanced for Xbox One X. It's 3 years old, but with its 4K resolution patch, it looks so fresh-faced that it would find itself getting ID'd at nightclubs. Set in a world of lots of tiny things doing things at a great distance away from you, this is exactly the kind of game that benefits from the resolution boost. You can see details on your characters and monsters that you didn't notice before. Spells look bright and sharp, and character models crispier than a flame-roasted quaver. Because this is a game in which the screen often fills to the brim with monsters, Diablo 3 uses a dynamic resolution scaling method where in less busy scenes like walking through the streets of New Tristram or scrapping with a measly crew of cultists in some old ruins, it achieves 2160p. When the mobs descend, however, it subtly scales down the resolution in order to keep its frame rate to a consistent 60 FPS. Don't worry though, you'll probably be too busy reeling off Frost Novas and Energy Twisters to notice.
Rise of the Tomb Raider was one of the first Xbox One X games we got to show you on Xbox On, and several months later it is one of the stars of the launch lineup. Xbox One X takes an already pretty game and gives it a 4K makeover that is so sexy it almost seems wrong to see dusty old buildings looking this fresh. The second Lara steps out onto a snowy mountaintop, you know you are in for a visual feast. And the flavour of that feast is entirely up to you. We opted for native 4K to give our TV a proper workout, but you can also opt for a visual enhanced mode that adds extra effects in exchange for an upscaled 4K resolution. In this mode, you'll see lighting creeping through the cracks of ancient tombs, more reactive hair physics, and more realistic reflections and details. It's another great showcase for the console. Finally, there's a boosted frame rate mode. This isn't in 4K, but it does let you see those horrible snowstorms come whipping past at a rate you aren't used to. Each mode offers a very different take on the game. We spent a large chunk of our time with the Xbox One X fast travelling around the world and seeing how each bit looks with different settings. One thing unites them all. This is a beautiful game and a fantastic showcase of what we can expect from our new beast of a machine.
When it comes to graphical powerhouses, Forza is the daddy. We're talking native 4K at 60 frames per second, giving us the slickest, sharpest Forza yet. Boot up Dubai and you'll get one of the best showcases on the Xbox One X. You'll see fine sand blown across the tarmac, heat shimmer distorting the horizon, and feel the burning intensity of the sun thanks to that high dynamic range lighting. It's a visual fidelity that forced Turn 10 to take every car back to the drawing board, creating high-resolution textures for those luxury interiors and tiny details that you wouldn't see on a 1080p screen. And this is before we dive into stormy racing conditions and see the heavens open up and pelt your car with tiny droplets. Of course, the payoff comes when the storm breaks and you see the sun peeking through the clouds again. It's a stupidly pretty game, and we almost wonder how the hell we are meant to keep our eyes on the track.
So those are our top picks from what's currently available. Of course, new games are being added all the time, so be sure to check back in with us for regular updates on those. And if you want to see some of these games in action yourself, why not enter our competition to win all the games you currently see on screen? Just follow the competition link in the description below and tell us which Xbox One X enhanced game you're most looking forward to testing. As always, we love to hear your thoughts, so do share them in the comments below and make sure to subscribe for all the latest news on all things Xbox. Thanks for watching, I'll see you soon. Bye!